Back to OnlyFans.
Yeah, Kareem. Women can do whatever they want. They can hang out with whoever they want. Okay, Kareem.
Hey,
You don't have to keep them behind a wall,
said
Kareem.
spread them around. I don't think we're talking about the same type of freedom that you think you are, Jason.
Just for once, watch something that passes the Bechdel test. Just once.
Just once.
Why would I do that? Huh? Do I got a vagina? I don't think so.
How did y'all feel about the the mechanic of Michelangelo being able to speak with his brothers? How did y'all feel about that? I enjoyed it. Okay.
I felt
just because it was another part of another reveal. Go ahead, Ken. Sorry.
Yeah, it was part of that initial idea of like, okay, well, which turtle is it? And it maybe shows some mental fatigue in how he's trying to emotionally work through their passing. And so it may, I can definitely see where it can feel tropey, but I also can feel how it gave the reader an opportunity. It's the Batman and Robin. He needs someone to talk to. He needs someone to bounce comments off of, just for you as the viewer. I mean, for some people. And so I felt engaged with it. I understood what they were doing, and I was on board. I thought it was fun.
Well, to that point, I was actually going to say, no, you're right, Ken. Finally using that word correctly. These were the only fun sections of the comic, to be honest with you. Like his banter back and forth with his brothers, where they were kind of like, kind of ebbing him a little bit to like, do stuff or say things, and he was responding in kind. Most of the time, he is, which I would have, when you're reading this, you're initially thinking this is Raphael because he's so deadpan and straight-faced about everything. Like there is no humor that was normally associated with Michelangelo in the past. And so the only time that you got to see hints or flares of like that old one is when he's talking to his brothers, essentially. Like even when he's with, I mean, I guess he sort of kind of jokes with Casey a little bit, but not even April or even there's really no one else for him to talk to. His single focus is revenge, and everything else outside of that just kind of falls to the wayside. So as you were saying to your point, the only fun moments you get are him still interacting with the past versions of his brothers.
I think what I really enjoyed the most about it is that the voices were very time locked, in the sense where at whatever age they had passed away, like they sounded younger through the storytelling, and I really, really liked that. I liked that they felt younger because Michelangelo's last his last I guess ideas of his brothers were at that younger age. Mm-hmm. And I thought the writer and the artist captured that so well.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying, to him being the adult in the room versus like his brothers still being kind of like their teenage selves.
Yeah. And in most iterations, Michelangelo is depicted as the youngest. I think that there's a few variances, but most time he is considered the youngest brother. So, and it is also worth noting too, this is a depiction of the Turtles from the current ongoing IDW series. It's not necessarily the original cartoon or the original comic Turtles or the 2003 or 2012. It is, a lot of the things fall in line where these are the reincarnated souls of Hamato Yoshi's sons, and there is a more weight to it. It's not just like, hey dude, have a pizza. Like these are brothers who have been through a lot, and that's why it lends a little more. It's from that storyline.
They do get pizza.
I think they do get pizza. I don't know if they have pizza in this.
I don't remember them getting pizza at all in this. I know that April makes eggs at one point. I don't think there's a pizza in this entire comic.
Oh,
so there you go. There goes that impression you guys were talking about. That's what's holding him down. Pizzaless future.
Exactly. That like Hiroto had outlawed pizza. He said like, no.
He killed the turtles, then he went after Pizza Hut.
Oh,
he systematically went after Domino's.
He murdered Papa John.
Well,
no, he teamed up with Papa John. He teamed up with Papa John.
Pass. That's fine.
They don't
Little
make pizza
Caesar,
anymore. They just,
how dare you?
They make whatever that shit is.
All he wanted to do was bring us pizza.
Here's toppings. You don't get the bread anymore. Toppings in a box, you bitch. Lap it up.
If someone sends this comic to Papa John,
he's gonna put sugar on it and call it a pizza.
Well, no, and tells him like, hey, you notice there's no pizza in this. I guarantee he will tweet about it, how it's a conspiracy against him.
Oh yeah, I'm sure this is written by the left.
I mean, does he tweet, or is he True Social? Like, so
I think he
care?
I
www.creedthoughts.gov.www/creedthoughts. Check it out.
Last year, Creed asked me how to set up a blog. Wanting to protect the world from being exposed to Creed's brain, I opened up a Word document on his computer and put an address at the top. I've read some of it. Even for the internet, it's pretty shocking.
I hate Shaq so much. Oh, my empire.
Save. It's like sending.
Oh.
Well, in the story, we've jumped all over the place, but just kind of giving everyone a kind of, if they're never going to read it, chronological ordering of things, we get Michelangelo kind of traversing the outside of this walled area. He finally gets in, and he has, I think in the first comic, this like, he besieges the entire tower. He almost gets to what's his name?
Oroko Hirado.
He gets to basically almost to his floor in his first effort. And I think a sympathetic foot soldier robot slams him like, I don't know, 30, 40 stories to the ground or whatever, and he barely survives that. Doesn't know how he does, but does. And that's when we get introduced to well, we're kind of introduced to Casey throughout his I guess journey into the tower. They kind of cut to her, cut back to him, cut to her, cut back to him. She catches him at the very end because he kind of like crawls into a sewer, is about to commit suicide. Yeah, exactly, because he feels that he's failed his brothers, doesn't end up doing it, ends up passing out, I think, right before. And the next thing we know, he wakes up and he's with April. And you're led to believe that this has been kind of an odd thing. Like they hadn't seen each other in a while. We don't know at the time how long it had been, but we do know that she is a double amputee.
Yeah, leg and arm. And as the story is being told, we are getting flashbacks to what happened on the last night in New York. What happened on the because there was an envoy. There was essentially an attempted ceasefire between the Foot Clan and Clan Hamato, and there's lots of stuff going around, lots of different chess pieces being moved on the board, and we are finding this out bit by bit to see like how did we get to this point. And you have a flashback. I was going.
No, you're right. Okay, keep on.
I was saying you're intersected with a bit as you mentioned earlier between the brothers and Michelangelo. Like he's waking up. He's like, "Where am I?" And he thinks he's speaking with his brothers, and then eventually he kind of snaps out of it. And he realizes April's there, and that's when you see like that's when it's revealed like, "Hey, she survived all this time too," and what it cost
you don't know
her
her
to
from
survive.
what. Exactly. Actually, they weigh heavy on it for most of that comic, saying like, "Hey, it cost her a lot." You don't know exactly what, but you get to see again through flashbacks, basically how the 3-part war essentially that takes his brothers, and you find out Casey as well, how they kind of branch off, because they start off as a group with that human army, and they were divided by the Foot into 3 separate scenarios that basically kill everybody. Which leaves Michelangelo by himself at the very end. During this time, we see a little bit more of, as Jason mentioned, the resistance. Casey's kind of reaching out to her people. And then I think we also start to see the mental state of, what's his name? I'm blanking on the main bad guy's name.
Baby Shredder.
Baby
Shredder. Thank you.
Let's do
You're
Baby
like,
Shredder.
Jason's like, stop letting Ken butcher that name. Just call him Baby Shredder. It's upsetting, Ken. I understand. I get it.
Grandbaby Shredder. Grandbaby Shredder is sort of kind of losing it as this is going on. despite his like our projections of force and
A
authoritarianism.
fascist leader is losing their minds. Crazy.
Okay, so that was another. Okay, so I think this is going to be my new example of Chekhov's gun at this point, because so we find out that Grandbaby Shredder has Karai in like a stasis tube because
Is it Eleanor?
Raphael...
Is that the name of Mr. Freeze's wife? He's put her in one of those.
Yeah. So, but then, like, it's implied that when Raphael died, she like almost died, but then they got her on life support or something like that, and she hasn't been awake in like 20 years or something, or however.
Yes.
Okay. So you see her in a scene where Grandbaby Shredder's talking to her, and then the next time you see her in the tube is at the very end of the story when she gets blown up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was no reason for her to be in the story itself in present time.
Well, she's the linchpin between time, essentially.
But
because well, as a reader, if you don't know the lineage of them, all you know is that there's the Turtles, they fight against Shredder, and now there's this new version of Shredder or Shredder related, but you don't know that there's been a 20-year gap. So how does that work?
Like maybe like put up a photo of her in the background. Like I don't like there's specifically. I think where they failed narratively in this particular step was you had her in a tube, you showed why she was in the tube, and then that's it. Yeah. Right? There's no other narrative use for her. I
think the narrative use was his inner dialogue where I think he eventually admits that, like, because she was an absentee mother, he's gone down this path of being
fascism.
Yeah,
well,
essentially.
Yeah, I mean, he was raised by the Foot Clan because he was the heir to the Empire, but there is also the aspect that we do get to see too that he is not. It's not that he is even in the same vein as the original Shredder. That he is like they show him training, and some of his guys actually get the land a blow on him, and then he just kills the dude. He's like, "Oh yeah, good job," and he kills him outright. So it's like, wait, so you're not even showing that you can best everyone. If someone was to best you, you would kill them. So you're not even allowing for, like, it's very much a corrupt, like, Nepo baby who's just like, oh no one can be better than me. I'm going to kill you if you try to. Like, oh, yeah. That adds to that. But
I mean, it's weird to say that's just standard fascist ruler stuff. There's stories throughout history of
when Baron grows up, he's going to do that. We know that.
Yeah. No. I mean, I'm thinking of like
prove me wrong,
Kaiser.
World. Prove me wrong.
I'm thinking of the Kaiser in World War I that had to win all of the war games, and they eventually had to tell him you couldn't do it. That's how that works for those types of people that are born into power for a lot of the time.
So I mean, again, I think she was there as the linchpin between time, and she's the main catalyst for this story, essentially. I mean, technically, to your point, Jason, she should still be alive to, I guess, get her comeuppance. Technically,
right?
Speaking.
I mean, she technically is still alive to get, but she's not conscious.
Well, her son kills her, basically.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, she's the reason.
Not entirely, because isn't it like there's an explosion? No, I thought it was Michelangelo that did, but now I
think he does as he's taught, because when Michelangelo sees her, he's explaining to her like, yeah, I've kept her alive this whole time. I didn't really need her, and I think he ends up breaking the tube she's in.
It's weird that he gets the catharsis. Like, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
it's weird, right?
I mean,
like,
why shouldn't the king get to have whatever he wants? That's the point.
It's just a little bit weird.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, technically, yeah, you're right. But yeah, she's part of the reason why this whole thing kind of goes the way it goes anyway, because everyone's like, hey, we should have a ceasefire, and she's like, nope, I'm gonna kill them all, and she doesn't.
This is the whole sins of the parent visited upon the child, and guys, this is a real uplifting comic.
Yeah, through the rest of the story though. Oh, this is where we get to the reveal of her being Casey being a mutant, because she's been begging Michelangelo to train her, and he's like, you're a human, you're weak, you're slow, you're not disciplined, you don't have enough, and I don't have enough time to train you. Yeah, you're dragging ass, you're costing me time. I don't have time for this shit. I have a mission to go. But she somehow convinces him to help train her, and they don't do a training montage, I suppose. I don't know what the time difference is between him recovering and him going in for his second round, and how much he was able to train her.
It sounded like a few months.
Was it a few months? Okay.
It sounded
it's a bit montagey, but it's not like, again, not explicitly said, not laid out like, oh, this is how long it took them.
Okay.
There is also, and then throughout that time too, April she pulls the head of she pulls the head of the Fugitoid out of the safety box, because she's like, good. Oh, hey, this is how we're gonna get past some of his system, is we're gonna plug this back in, because they're gonna want this, because they've always wanted this for diabolical purposes, and it's also used to infiltrate the system, if my memory.
Well, that's essentially how she loses her appendages and Casey, is through that storyline of what's the guy that made Fugitoid or whatever, or that wanted him?
He is Honeycutt. Honeycutt is the Fugitoid. He had to transplant his mind into the body of the Fugitoid to continue living.
Right. So
fugitive android, Fugitoid.
Okay, can you give a little bit more background on Honeycutt? Because this was like, for me, I was like, I kind of know who this is, but this might be a little bit too deep of a cut for me.
So you may remember the neutrinos from the original 89 cartoon.
Oh, were those the kids that were in the space?
The Hot Rod. Yep, the space Hot Rod. Yeah, so the space Hot Rod kids from Dimension X had been fighting Krang's forces in their own dimension. Part of their story is that they've been fighting for years against the Krang and the Utroms, also is what they're known, depending on the mythos. So this Utrom war had been colonizing different planets, and the neutrinos were fighting against the Utroms. And so part of that is where Dr. Honeycutt, I'm trying to remember if it's Dr. or Professor Honeycutt, he's part of the resistance, and he builds the robot to be able to, it can cloak, he can change forms, all kinds of stuff, so that it can infiltrate and become a great asset to the resistance. Right before he's about to get it finalized, their base is attacked, and he has to put his mind into the body of the Fugitoids to survive and to then help rescue others. And then he's now Honeycutt in the body of the Fugitoid. And then the Krang are constantly after it because they want that technology.
So wait, who was the guy that wanted Fugitoid, the actual robot?
The Utroms, the Krang Utroms want him, as well as in this iteration of the comics, it's also Baxter Stockman, because he's working for the Utrom Krang for a while. So that's in this iteration, but the Krang, the Utroms want the robot because it's such an advanced piece of technology.
Okay.
And as part of the story too, Shredder has worked for Krang and the Utrom in the past, and in one iteration, Shredder is an Utrom, but that's another iteration.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess as part of that storyline, you get to see, I think it's Leonardo and Casey, right?
Raph and Casey are the ones who were on the battlefield. That like I remember certain panels, and I remember Raph and Casey together because they're the right to die for each other. But I'm trying to remember who dies where.
I thought it was Leonardo and Casey.
It makes sense
with
too.
April. Then it was Donatello and Master Splinter.
Yeah. Being
ambushed, and then it was Raphael, because Raphael immediately goes off on his own to go fight what's her name,
Karai.
Right, and then I forget what happens. Michelangelo was off doing something else as well. So the pairing, when we start to see how everything kind of fell apart for everybody, was those pairings. And so they come and they have swarms of clan and everybody going after this robot, and I think the dude that was searching for the robot ends up detonating the entire area, which ends up killing Casey, Leonardo, and making April an amputee.
Injuring April.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up in the hospital without an arm and a leg, but finds out she's pregnant.
Yeah, because also we do see a part where they're setting up for dinner before the ambush and everything, and like Casey and April have rings because they're wed, they're married in the storyline. So, yeah.
Correct. And then then it kind of shifts back into present day where April is showing, I guess, Michelangelo all of the tech that she has ready to go once they are, sufficient enough to like mount a resistance, so to speak. And he's going to kind of like lead this. And he's like, I don't really want to lead. I just want to go kill some people, kill some bitches. But she explains to him like, hey, there's much more than just, your death wish on the line. So I think he agrees to that, or he reluctantly agrees. And the next thing they flash forward a little bit and they're on the battlefield. And he's saying like, this is a shitty idea. You guys shouldn't be here. And he's leading Casey and her group back into the fray.
This gave me why is the smuggler a general now feels.
Wait. So I'm sorry. Do you have a problem with General Lando Calrissian on the battlefield? You're gonna try to take a job from a black man in this economy?
The other one.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I have an issue with the other one.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
No, it's just I think
more hate mail just coming your way.
I know, right? Like, stop setting me up for this. Okay, but what I was gonna say is that you talked about going from lone wolf to fight you went from lone wolf to soldier to leader, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been narratively cooler to just be like, yeah, okay, if you want to just murder people, here you go. Like, let's put the spotlight on a couple other secondary characters. Like, oh, well, then this is going to be the person that's leading, and this is going to be the person that's important for this and that or something, right? And so, the very first time that we see Michelangelo and Casey Jr. jump into action, it's very Dark Knight Returns. Right, it's
very Carrie Kelly.
It's very spunky Carrie Kelly feels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have that, right? We have that comic, and that comic is great, right? Despite itself, the comic is great, right? But I mean, like, if you want to do an homage, cool, right? But when an homage overpowers what you like, the narrative space that you could have had a story, I think that's kind of weird, right? It's a weird choice. I think, and definitely not a choice for me.
I think that the problem is we're on a truncated timetable, and we have a truncated character list because they killed everybody off in the past.
Which is another weird choice.
I mean, it's called The Last Ronin. You can't be like, oh, this is the group of survivors. It doesn't carry that much weight when it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What's left?
The middle Ronin, the Ronin that was the Ronin before the rest of them show up.
Couple Ronai in the back.
This is just giving me. This is just giving me. There are no other Jedi in the galaxy feels.
I mean, that's very. I agree with you. I just think that given what they were working with, if that's the story they're telling, you would have to somehow introduce either Casey herself as some kind of veteran leader warrior, or April. And I think because the way what happened to April, what you already established in the past happening to her, she wasn't going to be a leader, at least not on the battlefield.
Oh, and then also in that 20 years, she's now a science genius. Did that happen in the comics and I wasn't like there for it? Because I was under the impression that she was in like investigative journalism reporting, like all that stuff, right?
Like all scientists.
Not in this iteration. in this IDW iteration, there is she starts when you were first introduced to her, she's working in a laboratory with Baxter Stockman. She is working towards this end. Her father is actually a scientist as well, so she is following in his footsteps. And so she does have a science background. Also, as that initial IDW series continues, I do recommend it. Check it out. There are stories of how she learns more and more as she's working with Donatello, and she's working with Professor Honeycutt, and she's working with other people who helped her develop those skills further and further.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
I also don't have an issue with the timeline, because if you're going to give her anywhere from 15 to 20 years of learning something, I would hope that she'd be proficient in it. Even if she started off as a reporter, you give her 15 years of like, I'm going to figure out how to build a goddamn jet, like a van with guns on it. Like,
oh yeah,
you could be able to do that in 15, 20 years.
There was like a Tumblr in it for like no reason.
But on that note too, though, she has to do this all with limited resources. She doesn't go down to the local store and buy half the stuff because it's all contraband under the Shredder's rule, grandbaby Shredder's rule. Like,
yes,
some people might say that this is, a utopia for some with their Great Wall, but no, this is definitely a dystopia under grandbaby Shredder.
Well, I mean, if you're taking contraband, yeah. I mean, if you're doing illegal things, you're doing illegal things, Ken.
Yeah, fair enough. If you didn't want to mess with the sympathetic robots, you shouldn't have been messing around.
Stop or I'll shoot.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Obey the law, Ken. Jesus. But no, and so we get to, they're on the battlefield. The plan that they had apparently isn't working. They're losing, I think, communication or whatever. So, and the timing's off. And so, the grandbaby Shredder's massive gun is about to go off, and they need to figure out a way to disable it. I think in the last ditch effort, Michelangelo does it all by himself at some point. Something happens to April, I think, oh no, that's right. I apologize. Before they even get to on the battlefield with grandbaby Master Shredder, they have to actually go after what's his name to disable all of the surveillance security, because grandbaby Master Shredder runs everything security wise through the guy that went after the robot.
That's I want to say that was Baxter Stockman, but now I have to double check.
Is it Baxter?
Brain. I'm pretty sure it's Baxter Stockman, but I'd have to.
I mean,
have to double check that.
Like the dude on the island, right?
Yeah.
That was Baxter.
Yeah.
So they have to go and destroy his, I guess, link to the city that with all the surveillance and stuff. So they run a mission to go destroy that as well. And then we're back at the city, and then I forget, how does she get under siege? Why is she in trouble?
Aren't like the bots from Baxter after her, because it's essentially the war on the digital front,
yes.
As far as like, and then there's also the war, like, actually, because once she's able to take out certain safeguards, that's when Michelangelo and Casey are able to infiltrate the base more, because
because as soon as she turns what's his name on, the Honeycutt, I think.
Yeah, Honeycutt.
When she turns him on, then the guy comes after her.
Yeah.
So that was a timing thing. Like they had to get it. Michelangelo and the human resistance had to get far enough into it before she turned it on, because as soon as she turned it on, they were going to be all over her.
Yeah, they need to thin out the resources of the bad guys.
Yeah. And it finally comes down to a battle between Michelangelo finally and grandbaby Master Shredder in his like new Shredder suit that's like he's like a T-1000 uniform that he wears. And they go toe to toe for a while.
Is he dressed as a cop?
No, imagine the silver version of T-1000.
Oh, okay.
He's just wearing.
You said a T-1000 uniform, like, so. This kind of cop, that's a little on the nose, but all right.
Hey, well,
hey, man, Shredder life's better. What are you saying?
Yeah, he wants to. It's a thin Shredder line.
Real Union supporter, that guy. So
yeah. They go toe to toe, and Michelangelo takes a lot of beating. I think he eventually wears down the suit itself somehow. Before they even get to battle, we have that, as we mentioned, the conversation where the grandbaby Master Shredder is talking about like his legacy and how his mom like failed him because she was never around, and that's why he's the guy he is, and why there will never be anybody better than him. They fight. Basically, Michelangelo kills him and then dies in like sludge, like right outside the city wall or somehow. They like fall off the side of something, and they both land outside the city wall, whatever. April finds his body with Casey, and then we get to the end of the story, which is the like stinger, which is like, oh, they're gonna create more turtles.
Yeah, because we've through this time, like Michelangelo didn't understand why he was still able to live and survive through all this. It's because
that's right, yeah.
his mutation has still been going on. He still had continual growth and changes, making him stronger, tougher, hardening. And so, as part of the understanding of what was going on, April had taken a few blood samples, and then that had contributed to them creating 4 new mutant turtles. And
she took the blood samples early on just to confirm that her daughter is practically a Ninja Turtle herself.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I get it. If you the old cartoons, everyone is exposed to mutagen at one point or another. Like April was
this is even that. This is like they were slowly poisoning her and Casey.
Right. Yeah.
Just being around them was radiation poisoning to Casey.
Is this radioactive semen all over
Spider-Man
again?
Rain? Yeah. You mean Spider-Man Rain? Yeah.
Oh no. No.
The only thing that was like the only other trope that was missing in this was like, oh, this is where you find out this is Michelangelo's daughter, right?
Yep. I'm not gonna lie. I was practically waiting for that until April was quickly to say, no. Just because we were around you guys, we got whatever mutagen you had.
Oh yeah.
I didn't want a Michael.
It wasn't that night we hung out.
So it's Raphael's kid. It's Raphael's kid.
Duh.
You know, in certain retellings, it would be Donatello's kid.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I can find a few fan stories on there where it could be any of their kids. We really want to go into it.
Okay.
I mean, she hung out with them a lot.
You know, Tumblr was taken down for stuff like this. This is why.
Yeah, but DeviantArt wasn't.
Yeah, DeviantArt's still there, baby.
Right there with those naked M&Ms, right?
So you're saying
I'll post it right now. You keep talking.
What you're saying is don't Google adult April O'Neil and then just turn off safe search.
Have a good time.
Okay, fair enough.
That's the real last Ronin.
Speaking of teenagers with attitude. Speaking of,
yeah, come on, segue. Come on, save us, Ken. Save us.
No, let us stay here and be sad and talk about pornography, guys. It's great.
Is that struck work? Are they part of a union? Do they have a writer?
That's a good question. I think they have writers.
I do not
for certain scenes.
They are part of the union.
Oh, that sounds like elitism to me.
That sounds like. Wait, even the writers? That's.
I mean, if you want to talk about sex work right now,
boy, let's go over to JPG's OnlyFans, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to need you to cut that line. Zoom. I want that to be the tag at the end of every show.
If you want to talk about sex work
right now.
No, I'm just, just everything, like the moralistic bullshit that goes into people. Okay, you know what? I'm not even going to start this because
you already did. I
really want to talk about TMNT Power Rangers. Please let me talk about this.
I'm going to bring you back to it though. I'm going to give you a timer.
It's going to be a whole 6.5 minutes. New podcast.
We're going to come boomeranging back to this pornography, sex worker talk.
All right,
Ken, start us off with Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers.
I don't think I have that. I've got that file somewhere, but I gotta.
It's in the same one note.
Same. Oh, okay, so there we go. The series is a crossover between the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, featuring the characters from Boom Studios.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I got no answers for you.
Can I expect the VR troopers at any point in this show?
Dude, I will fight you.
What are we, anti-VR troopers?
Okay.
Hey,
I mean,
Mark Zuckerberg is waiting for the VR troopers to show up. He's gonna call them Meta Troopers.
There were certain cash grabs around this time.
How dare you? Yes. This is an original property, stood all by itself. There's nothing alike. They did karate.
There were only 3 of them.
Okay,
exactly. But the hard part is that Kareem, as the editor, is going to drop in like big bad Beetleborg clips right now just to fuck with things.
I will roundhouse kick everybody in this show.
Fair.
I mean, fine. If we don't want to talk about
fun facts, that's fine. Fun facts, because I'm a Toku fan. For VR Troopers, that was actually
the VR Troopers from Canada. Is that why the Troopers?
The main person was supposed to be Jason David Frank.
Oh, we lost
VR
Pat.
Troopers.
Doesn't like me bad mouthing Canada.
You brought up the Green Ranger. He's like, how dare you? You didn't bring up Jason David Frank in this house.
And then We said Big Bad Beetleborgs, right?
Mhm.
One of the only reasons why Big Bad Beetleborgs stopped production was because they ran out of Japanese footage. It was actually doing numbers, and the only reason they stopped doing the show is because they ran out of footage.
They couldn't just run
They
it
didn't-
back. Like, oh,
I was gonna say they didn't
we
think
already
they
saw
could
this clip.
transpose the footage.
Wait, what about Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad?
Okay, so you mean the incredible Matthew Lawrence Tim Curry vehicle?
Exactly.
Yes. Again,
No,
not
that
cash
one-
grabs. Original properties. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I will roundhouse kick everybody. Okay, talk
What do
about
we-
the comic. Talk about
Not-
the comic.
We're not going to talk about the Mark Hamill Guyver movie. We're not going to go about that. No.
Ooh.
Okay. Everybody always says the Mark Hamill Guyver movie. Go
I
back
know.
and watch it.
I
He's
know.
not in it that much.
I know, but
okay?
that's how it was sold when
Well,
they
that was-
had an ad in Wizard where they're like, guess who's going to be in the new Guyver movie? Mark Hamill. That's how Wizard sold it to us. So blame Wizard, and which is fine because the owner of Wizard's a jackass. So there's that. But
We've
Yeah.
established that in the pod. Yeah,
Plus, Mark Hamill looks so cool.
that is true. All right, Ken, keep rolling us on this crossover.
okay, so the Mystic Knights of Tir-na-Nog, they
Oh, dude,
decided.
I swear to God.
I forgot how many
So many
there
original
were.
properties.
God, it was
Man, we were spoiled, is what we were.
So the licensees between Boom Studios and IDW Publishings bring in their modern comic incarnations of both franchises, which, again, this write-up is kind of misleading because this version is just kind of like, do you have a general idea of who the Power Rangers are? Yes. Do you have a general idea of who the Ninja Turtles are? Yes. These are the versions, because these are not like the in-canon versions of these characters in their respective chronologies that are currently ongoing.
yeah, because all the turtles are dead.
Yeah.
You have to have a cross.
Kick butt.
Well, in the story though, they know each other. Like they exist in the same universe.
I mean, kind of. That's the thing that's kind of weird about it. So saying that they know of Power Rangers, but they don't know like, oh hey, that's my buddy Tommy. That's my friend over here. Like they exist in the same world, but they don't know each other. They're not like, hey, let's go have pizza after this because we already have an existing relationship.
Well, what do you mean after this? Because that's exactly what they do after this.
I mean, but they don't have a pre-existing relationship before the
Oh
start.
no,
of
this is the first time they meet. But
Right.
But I'm saying they, regardless of when they meet, they exist in the same world. It isn't like, oh, the Power Rangers came over through a time portal or some kind of
Yeah,
displaced
it-
dimension.
Right.
Like
they-
Donatello even mentions that he's a fan,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But that's what I meant by saying that they are the modern incarnations of those two. They're not. They are this new merged universe that exists together, as opposed to the
Right.
like the Ghostbusters one where they literally do go through a portal and like a bull spirit pulls them over from the other side. Like there's
Well, see, that's a little bit that's a bit of cheating though, right?
it is, but the fact that they do continue to affect each other's stories down the line has more repercussions in the Ghostbusters series and the Turtle series, whereas this is its own siloed continuity.
It's self-contained. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Don't
So,
think
like,
about it.
Yeah, so like this version of the Power Rangers don't have a Green Ranger named Matt. Like they don't have that, as opposed to the Boom Studio stuff that does have a new Green Ranger. At the same time that we have Tommy as the White Ranger, so there's a lot of different things that the comics are doing that are not necessarily directly tied back to each other. So it's just
Well, I think for the purpose of this story, which I think is one of, I don't know if there's a note I had in here, if I wrote it in there, but this really plays on nostalgia a lot, and I don't think it's meant to go beyond that or precede any of that either. It's like, hey,
yeah,
you like the Ninja Turtles, you like the Power Rangers. What if they met?
Yeah.
Fight,
yeah, it's you're grabbing your action figures and you're like, and then Goldar gets beat up because Leonardo's the best.
This okay, I'm really glad we're bringing this up because that was this is the exact mindset that I went into reading this, and I was not disappointed, right? And I'm so glad to see a writer and artist like Parrott and Mora, like you know those nerds have action figures in their office that they work in. Like you can just feel it. There's a lot of love and admiration for all of the bright and positive things that both franchises have.
Oh yeah, moving away from our dystopian Last Ronin, this is not only visually brighter as a comic itself, but the story and the characters are mostly upbeat. Like even Rita and Shredder have their moments. So I don't know if you want to start going through just a quick like rundown of the story itself, Ken, or if you want me to do it, or Pat. I don't know if you got a chance to read it.
I see. Do you?
Okay, or Jason, you're our guest. You can start it off if you like.
Yeah. So we get the perennial trope of, is Tommy a bad guy again?
Yes.
He's always a bad guy. Even when he's a good guy, he's a bad guy.
We see him interacting as a member of the Foot Clan. And there's an overarching story arc of things being stolen for other stuff, but then that evolves into this was all a ploy in order to trick Tommy to get here, in order to steal his morpher. Because Tommy is joining the Foot Clan, you find out later that he's breaking out a friend from his orphanage.
Mission, yeah.
In order to get him out of this like domestic terrorism cult, right? And
Yes.
so that brings
Scientology clan.
I mean, it depends on. I mean, some people would say white nationalists, whatever. Let's not we don't have to put labels on it, okay, folks? How did this podcast become the most politically charged one? I'm very curious.
It's those damn turtles.
Exactly.
So now we have
coming across our borders and our walls,
living in our sewers, eating our pizza.
Now we have the Turtles and the Rangers coming together.
Oh, so it's MS-13.
And of course, because you always have to start off a crossover with a misunderstanding, they all fight and they all figure out how awesome they are. And then they immediately give away their secret identities.
Especially the Turtles.
Yeah, and then from there, it's all about saving Tommy, and then figuring out what Shredder is doing, and then later on in the story, how Rita Repulsa and her goons get into this as well.
I do appreciate the 4D chess Shredder was playing in this, because I feel like we don't get that very often. Like he has henchmen
First and foremost, I need to know that Tommy is adopted. Right? And then it's just just everything that he sets up to only be foiled by 4 idiot teenagers is amazing to me.
Well, the problem is he relied on Rita, and she backstabbed. Not only did she fail, she failed and backstabbed him at the same time.
Yeah, who added 6 other idiot teenagers to the mix.
Well, I mean, that's all she knows how to play with. That's in her toolbox.
This is monkeys writing Shakespeare. You're just throwing numbers at it eventually.
It's gonna work. But yeah, it was because I mean his plan of luring in Tommy's friend to then have Tommy, knowing Tommy would come in and try and rescue him and send him on a mission to get him something that he needed in order to appease his like partners from the other dimension. I thought it was pretty cool because again, most Shredder plans end in, and we smash the window and grab stuff.
But again, too, you're inferring your headcanon of Shredder, which is the James Avery. No, why, Krang? I don't want to. Which I love James Avery. He's awesome, but his his version of Shredder is very much a dialed down version. Like as opposed to the at least the first live action movie, like he's cutthroat. He's like he's ready to kill people. He's ready to kill a kid. He's like on board for whatever. So
yes, but my point is that it not about him being goofy. Is saying his plans are base level. Even in the movie, it was just to get more teenagers under his belt. It wasn't to franchise or make it a corporation out of what he's doing. It was just like, hey, I'm going to run a street gang, and there's going to be a lot of us.
Not a lot of substance on the back end of the plan. Just yep, got my street gang. All right.
There was no plan for when they aged out of just breaking stuff.
Well, they'll be dead by then.
I guess there's that there in the comics. There is more of a substantive. I can't say the word.
Substantive.
Yes.
Yeah,
Plan behind all of it, but at least you're right. In the first movie, it is kind of just like, I'm going to start a gang and we're going to do crime, and that's kind of long and short of it. So
right, it was like, yeah, their crime wasn't for an end goal where it's like, all right, I'm gonna steal enough money, or I'm gonna steal enough to make enough money to do the next thing. It was like, you see stuff, take it, and who's gonna stop us?
I appreciate him too, showing us that even Tommy's not even the most badass Green Ranger, because he's like, oh, I'm gonna steal your morpher and become one of the most like. That is a badass looking Green Ranger when he takes the morpher and he is now the Shredder Green Ranger. That looks awesome.
Well, that was to Jason's point, though. I feel like the nerds in the writers and artists and stuff that got together were thinking about those kind of things, like, what would a morphing Shredder look like? What would morphing turtles look like?
Yeah,
and vice versa. What would Ninja Rangers look like? And I was like, that part they delivered on each time.
Which it's funny. Reveal. It's funny too, because in the TV series we do get Ninja Rangers.
But not these cool. They didn't look like this.
These Ninja Rangers were so much better.
Right?
Just like I every time I see Dan Mora write something, or draw something, excuse me, it just confirms to me more and more that he sold his soul to something in order to just make the coolest things that you could possibly look at, right? I mean, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong. He did the design for the Omega Rangers in the comics.
I believe he did the designs for the Omega Rangers, the initial ones. He's also done, if you go to the Discord, he did the all of the Bat family as Rangers, as Sentai, and he's done a bunch of different iterations of here's Spider. I have a sketch of Spider-Man as a Kamen Rider character.
And and there's another one that he does. Sorry, I'm just looking this up really quick. So
no, that's again, they delivered on all of that, and each panel, because of the way that the shadings were done and the coloring and all that kind of ink work and stuff like that was like eye candy. Like, it was just really cool to see, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There it is. He also does the design, I believe, for Ilarion and the Solar Rangers as well, too, which was a really big storyline for the Power Rangers mythos. And I do, and this is going to be controversial, and I apologize in advance.
Here you go, hate mail. Get it ready.
Power Rangers
Fire
comics.
Those X's.
Yeah, Power Rangers comics from Boom Studios is telling leagues better of stories than the show is for children right now. And I say that especially because I personally think
Haim Saban is a date rapist.
Oh, what?
I would say that Haim Saban is a date rapist, but is that what you're to say? Is that not what you were? Oh, okay.
If you're hoping that he didn't repeat
put that out there.
He clarified.
Leave that to Ken. But I would say though that we treat Power Rangers, okay, so this brings us back to Last Ronin, right? I think there is a willingness to treat the Turtles stories as something more substantial, but there is not a willingness to do that for Power Rangers until Boom Studios Comics came out with this stuff. And I cannot stress enough how good these comics are.
Do you think that has to do, and I'm thinking just along the lines of aging at this point. So Power Rangers probably about a 5-year window beyond Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles hits, they're big, then Power Rangers comes in. So if we're looking at in terms of pop culture media, that as we age up, it's going to it's going to be given a more in-depth and adult treatment. Ninja Turtles would come first in that.
I mean,
it's like the exennial to the millennial.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
I can see what you're saying, right? Because they're with the passage of time, right? Like that older stuff has to have better hooks as we go. But I don't. Okay, man. This is a cartoon, so I can at least talk about this. Bluey. Bluey is a show specific for children.
Oh, I know all about it.
But is it?
You kids will play.
And the ladies watch us get all sweaty. Right, ladies? You got it, Lucky's dad. Yay!
I think I have a
Mhm.
I think I have a theory here that might hold water. Part of the problem for Power Rangers, maybe similar to the problem that Simpsons has, is it is a continually ongoing story, and we are still having it produced to this day. So when people look back and like, oh, when Apu was first introduced, he was groundbreaking. He was a doctor. He had a doctor. It's like, yeah, but it's still going on, and we still have this character. And so you to look back on it now and say like, oh, it's dated. Like it's dated, but it's still going. So it locks things into a weird place by its continued
I see.
production.
Because
And
because
Power
the
Rangers-
original is still ongoing, it's difficult to do variations of it.
Right. And so
Um,
even when you have, oh, sorry, Jason.
I was going to say, are you advocating to cancel Power Rangers?
To relaunch Power Rangers, or because that's the thing is we've continued. I mean, it's changed hands. It's gone from Saban to Disney, back to Saban, now to Hasbro. But they've also continued to have shows pretty much in perpetuity for that whole time, if my knowledge serves. But you'd have better information on that. But it's continued to have that throughout the ages. It's updated a bit, but it's still been always aimed at that same kind of age demographic. It's always kind of stuck to that. Whereas with the comics, as we said earlier, you do have your kids one over here, and you have your adult one over here, and you have the ongoing series over here. Power Rangers has that ability, or comics have that ability to go for different demographics dependent on the series. Whereas this series has continued on.
I also wondered if it's just the fact that they represented actual teenagers versus the Ninja Turtles, who have it in the title, but a lot of their stuff, they're a nebulous age, so to speak, and all the things that happen around them are very adult. Like, the clan themselves, the Shredder, everybody, their rogues gallery are adults. April, everybody are adults. They live in this nebulous teenage-ish thing, but there's never really an age for them, so they can get into much deeper situations and character analysis than actual teenagers who go to high school, and they will always be teenagers. Like, you're not going to see a story of like, oh, here are the Power Rangers aged out of being Power Rangers. They're in their what's a Power Ranger in his mid-30s?
Now they
Jason
did
David Frank as the Black Thunder.
You mean the
Dino
Netflix
Thunder?
show that nobody
He
watched?
does.
No,
he was
no.
the Black Dino Thunder Ranger, yes.
Yeah.
But another
Professor
thing that
O.
they did, another thing that they did in the comics was Soul of the Dragon.
They did
which
they did
was
their version
their
of Old Man Logan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
So no, I think you're right. Like I think there is a lot of story potential. But then I also think that I think your assessment where I'm going to take it a little bit further. I personally think Power Rangers does teenagers better than Ninja Turtles does. So
Yes.
yeah. Jumping back into the comic, I wanted to talk a little bit more about like the toy feel, right? That you're just mashing two toys together, right? I mean, did they even make all the turtles like shorter than the Power Rangers too?
They did.
Like, which like I think that's how.
Are you saying in the toys, or because I can
No,
grab
the
both? Both,
Okay.
actually, yeah.
In the toys, they're actually taller because they're trying to reuse the bucks to be a little more universal. In the comics, they do appear to be shorter,
Yeah.
but the
Well,
toys.
no. Depends on your Power Ranger toys.
I'm speaking specifically to the current Hasbro Lightning Collection line. I can literally grab
Okay.
them.
Do it right now. Do it.
So
Oh, you just been dared, son.
I will, but because of the toyetic nature of trying to reuse parts down the line, they made a certain scale figure, added on the shell and so forth, and then made it so that they could reuse those parts down the line. Because reusing parts and repainting parts is like that's toys number one. Like, they're gonna repaint this shredder to be like another shredder and XYZ. Like this, like the turtles were all the same mold except for the weapons and this. Like that's toys 101. But yes, I'll reach down and grab them.
I'm just trying to remember. I think when we were kids, the Power Ranger toys, original ones, were larger. Like the Ninja Turtles
they
were
were
kind of
they
standard.
were
They were
'cause,
big. They
they
had
were,
smaller ones.
I think
but then
10
there were the
inch.
big ones. Yeah.
I think the first Bandai Turtles the first Bandai Power Rangers we had from the Mighty Morphin era were probably like 10-inch figures / dolls. And they were all like just remolds from the Bandai Japan series stuff. And then the turtles were also like more in the 4 to 5-inch scale, versus like say some toys which were 5 or so, but everything had its own kind of
Yeah, but
scale.
how big were the VR troopers though?
The VR troopers were also about 5 inches in scale.
In real life. No, actually just in real life. They
5'3", all of them.
I wanted to go back to talking about like the toyetic feel, I guess, that we're going to be calling it, mostly because I think there is, when you do things for fan service, right? It's either everybody's going to love it or everybody's going to hate it, and I think that when they did do fan service in this, I wasn't expecting it, and that made it more exciting. And so I think the biggest piece of fan service, and Ken can, once he comes back, he can tell us if there's an actual toy of this. But there is towards the end of the story, we have the Turtles as the Turtle Rangers inside of the Megazord, and then the Ninja Rangers want to help, so then they use Donatello's shrink ray in order to make Metalhead bigger.
Yes.
And then Zordon out of nowhere is like, hey, just combine them.
Yeah, just put it together, son.
And then they made
smash.
a mega turtle sword.
That was pretty cool.
For me, right? I'm like I'm sitting here almost 40, just losing my mind at
Shredder, he was just himself though, right? He was just a giant version of himself.
He was piloting
did he get the
Dragon Zord.
Yeah, that's right, because he learns to play
through the flute.
Yeah,
through the dagger flute. Yeah.
That was dope.
So yeah, it was. It's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, it's obvious that should have happened, right? Fan service wise, this is obviously going to happen, but it took me personally by surprise, and I think that's the most beautiful fan service that I can ever experience is the fan service I'm not expecting.
Oh yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed Rita backstabbing him to get to the other dimension, because he comes in, Shredder's like, all right, here's our plan. I got this whole plan.
I'm in charge.
People. I'm in charge, but there's some people back in another dimension I got to answer to that has more power. And she was like, more power, you say? All right, we'll get together. And the minute that she gets a chance to, he's like, you have failed me, Rita. And she's like, did I? Where are your buddies at? I'm going to go there. Takes off. He's like, Rita, you bitch.
She takes off with Shredder as a prisoner.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is just, oh yeah.
It was so cool.
Which is just so great. And
yeah. Well, then we get the Power Rangerification of Bebop and Rocksteady, right? Is that those?
Yes, yeah, because
they become giant monsters.
Yeah, where they get to be the kaiju.
Magic. Yeah, the kaiju. There you go.
Which, by the way, in the last Ronin, do we ever see Bebop and Rocksteady?
No, I think we do. I think they are part of the
we don't see any mutants in the future. No, we don't see any mutants in the future.
No, do we see them in the past in the flashback? Aren't they part of the army that goes after Leonardo and?
Do they die in the same scene as Leonardo and Casey do?
They may. I'd have to go back. It's unfortunately been a little while since I watched it.
You got action figures for me?
I do. I've got action figures for you. So you've got this is the.
For those of you just listening, Ken has just put together some action figures with Play-Doh and sticks. He doesn't actually have action figures.
So we've got our Jason Red Ranger. This is the Hasbro Lightning Collection, and this is the same Lightning Collection version of Raphael as the Red Ranger.
That's dope.
And as you see, he's actually taller. I'm trying to put them
bigger.
fairly. Yeah, he's taller and bigger, and the shell is an overlay. So you have this idea that they are
the same
taller, but also they did also do a Shredder as a Green Ranger there who's taller than all of them because he's an adult and these are teenagers with attitude. So
okay, now make them kiss.
And he's just like, oh, and then the other boy went and go
slower.
This is my type of fan service.
All right, back to sex work. Which one of those paying?
So you can find me on
Shredder's
OnlyFans. I've
Shredder
got
is paying. Let's be honest.
Okay.
there you go.
Just make it even more illegal.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay,
that was
Kareem,
that.
follow me here. All right.
I am. Where are you headed to?
We opened up an OnlyFans
Yeah, I'm there.
where we just used
And
Ken's
Steve.
action figures,
I think that would make lots of money, to be honest. with you.
right? And we just like play out scenes,
Yeah.
and that's it, right?
May
I
I
think
make a
it'd be perfect.
suggestion?
We charge like $5 for it,
Monthly.
so it's reasonable.
Yeah,
right?
it's reasonable.
Yeah. And
I
then
mean, kid's got all the action figures, and he's got a
Yeah.
studio.
and we just act out whatever stories that come to mind.
I just
I-
if
I'm down for it.
if I may make a suggestion,
Sure.
Please.
a second camera just focused on the feet, and then it's only feet, and that's $7 a month.
I mean,
That's,
like
that
that.
has to be more money. That has
Yeah,
to be more
100%.
money.
that's a higher
For the
view.
shame. It's more
Yeah.
money for more shame. That's how
Yeah.
that works.
I like that. Perfect. All right, let's get this done.
All right.
Ken,
Kid, just show
move
those
up your
action figures
fingers.
again.
All right. So then you have
Ladies and gentlemen, this was $5.
Why is the Pink Ranger in a separate bag?
because I keep them.
Because she's
How do
a
you-
woman.
How do you keep your toys safe and secure? You keep
Put
them
her in
that
another
way they
bag
don't-
with a guy. She might have a baby. Can't have that right now.
You gotta
Baby
wrap it up,
Rangers,
man.
Come on.
You gotta wrap it up.
What kind of
That's
world
what-
is
that's-
this?
I was just gonna note that because I did grab these two, is that the Pink Ranger version of April doesn't have the skirt because in that version she didn't want to wear a skirt. So you still have the traditional like Kimberly slash oh god, what's the blonde's name? Cat. Sorry, thank you. And then you've got they didn't do this version with a skirt because she didn't have a skirt, which I thought that's attention to detail. They're like, okay, we've got that mold from our Yellow Ranger, let's use that. And parts reuse, but I like the depiction that they're like, oh no, let's keep it true to the comic design. April was more out there and freewheeling.
She
With
was.
less limbs.
No, this is the Power Rangers one. She
I-
has all the limbs. And
Before
This
this
happened
is before the tragedy.
before.
That's right.
God,
This is
the
before the
world
tragedy.
went dark. Turtles come back.
This
and
is when
stop
Shredder's still
right now.
alive. So that was the problem, is they killed our Shredder and the world went dark. Gotta keep him alive.
Beacon of light.
I
Yeah,
think
no,
what I going back to the comic, I think what I appreciated the most is that
leaving
like,
OnlyFans, huh?
the-
Leaving money on the table.
what I think what I appreciated the most was that they not only connected the turtles with their ranger counterparts,
Yes.
like in personality wise, but they actually gave time to like personalities that would butt heads naturally too, right?
Mhm.
Or personalities that we aren't expecting to interact, right? I think there's a scene with Trini and Raph. There's a scene with Raph and Tommy at the very end.
There's two scenes.
And at the very beginning.
opening scene, and
Yeah.
at the very beginning, yeah.
Tommy and Splinter, they have a little bit of an exchange. The only thing that I was really disappointed on was I think there was too much interaction with April and Kimberly. Like I wish that they would have spread that around, right? Yeah.
The women, you were saying to spread the women around?
I mean,
Jason. Back to OnlyFans.
yeah, Kareem. Women can do whatever they want. They can hang out with whoever they want. Okay, Kareem.
Hey,
you don't have to keep them behind a wall,
said
Kareem.
I said spread them around. I don't think we're talking about the
Just
same type
Kareem.
of freedom that you think you are, Jason.
Just for once, watch something that passes the Bechdel test. Just once.
Just
One time.
once.
Why would I
Just
do
one
that?
time.
Huh? Do I got a vagina? I don't think so.
Tangential Giants does
Yeah,
not
send the hate
support
mail. Send the hate mail to Jason. He's right over there.
No, he's not the one who said that.
He's at Rogue
Oh.
Jedi TV TTTV.
And then what was the introduction of Casey. I think with Casey Jones, I think that he is the type of character that we either see too much or not enough. And I thought that they hit a very, very good balance. Where they introduced him was a great narrative point. where they used him was a great narrative point. I like the responsibility that he took at the end of the comic as well too. I thought this was one of the times where I'm like, Casey Jones, like, quote unquote secondary character, right? I think this is where they used him enough, like perfectly enough.
Well, he's always great as an equalizer. Whenever the Turtles are outmatched at some point and they're about to look like they're losing all, he shows up right into kind of like even the playing field or even the battlefield, so to speak. And I think they did it well here as well. It's like
a better Tuxedo Mask.
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow. Just
that's a good call.
You're just trying to like.
It's Tuxedo Mask.
Shame on you, mistrust. Your lies and deceits have finally caught up with you, calling an innocent girl a cheater and turning friends against each other. Your evil games are coming to an end.
Look,
They're like,
okay,
how dare you?
no,
Darian pulled his weight.
That was nothing.
Did he though?
Okay,
Did he though?
Sailor Moon and the Sailor Scouts are self-sufficient and incredible. The most Tuxedo Mask ever does is he throws a rose, distracts the bad guy for a couple seconds so they can recover, and then proceeds to get his ass beat. Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes he runs away before they get a chance to do that. Sometimes.
I
Like,
believe
peace out, homies.
I believe that's called an ally.
Yeah.
He's basically a Gatorade drink. They go take a quick swig. While
He's a sensu bean.
There you go. Perfect. We need a breather. Who can buy us 30 seconds? Tuxedo and his rose.
Oh no, not again.
It's a good thing he's got great healthcare, though.
If you are throwing an organic rose straight into concrete, just throw it at the bad guy.
Yeah.
Whoa. He's not trying to take away their victory, Jason. Okay, he's trying to give them the opportunity.
He's an ally
to fulfill their
Look,
full potential.
Okay.
Not a mansplainer.
Look, lives are at stake. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Hey.
If I look at the scoreboard at the end of the episode, it's Sailor Saturn 1, Queen Beryl 0. I think I know who won that one. I think he did level that playing field. That was his role.
You can be chivalrous even when lives are at stake.
You can just teach him how to do it.
Whoa. You gonna mansplain it? I'm Pat. Is that what he's gonna do?
Let me tell you about a rose.
You
So
know
Alpha
nothing.
5 decided.
Oh god. All right. I have nothing else in the tank. Who else wants to talk about this comic?
I mean, it was good, and I think how does it end? Let's put it that way. Let's get the end, because I mean, we talked about the nostalgia. You'd have to really go read it to. I mean, we're not doing it as much justice as I think as it's given, because it's again a visual medium, which is amazing. So I think you guys need to go see the visuals. The storytelling is just an escalation of, wouldn't this be cool? And they did it. Wouldn't that be cool? And they did it. And they kept doing it. And they kept doing it in a way that was organic to the story. It wasn't heavy-handed, so to speak. It was like, okay, here's the next escalation, and it makes sense that they went with this part of nostalgia to do it.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. Like, if the flow of the story was natural instead of expected. If that's what if I'm making sense.
Yeah.
It felt like it was organic versus just farmed and pre-planned. Like, okay, at this point, this is got to happen. At this point, we've got to hit all these beats. Whereas this was like, yeah, it flowed naturally, and it was just. Sorry, go for it.
Imagine being like in that room, and just being like, okay, look, stayed up until 3 a.m. Super Turtle Megazord. How can we make that happen?
Work our way back.
Just like sitting there and like mapping it out, right? Okay. Okay.
Don't you feel like that's where it started?
Oh, almost
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and then they worked backwards because they're
Yeah.
like, wait, if we have a Super Turtle Megazord, then that means that that the turtles have to pilot a mech. Okay,
Well, the turtles have to be in it to begin with.
Yeah. So, but instead, you switch them, and then they're in the mech that you're not thinking about, right? Like they're in the mech that you're not expecting. Well, how did they get into the Megazord? Oh, well, they have to be Power Rangers. Wait,
You have to have
how
a
do we
power
get them
coin
to
to get into the Megazord.
yeah,
so,
right.
I mean,
and then it just goes down from there, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why I said at
What's
the
the
top that I
turtleneck?
was...
Well, what if who's metal? Who's metal? Metalhead. Make him big. You just make him big.
Boom.
That's it.
I mean, and that's what I kind of dig about the idea of when
Give me some more cold brew. We got some stuff going.
Yeah, just the encapsulation of like, oh no, these are fans who are just like, oh, I remember Metalhead, I loved him. How do we bring him in? How do we like merge these worlds together? And they did such a fun job.
Yeah. And like I said, to the point earlier of Shredder's plan, I think that a lot of that is hinged on this because it was more than just crime for the crime's sake. He had a vision of like, all right, this is how I'm gonna get the power that I need, and I'm gonna start with low level crime that draws in the things that I need, and I'm gonna keep moving from there.
Yeah, and really, I think where the end of it, where Shredder gets captured by Rita Repulsa in order to get access to the Dimension X people, for me, like I didn't expect Shredder to get played. Right, that was not something that I was expecting narratively.
Well, no, because in this story, he's the one leading most of this. She's there as basically souped up firepower. He comes to her with the plan of like, this is what we're gonna do, and this is all my plan. And then, like you said, she not only she fucks it up, but she'd already been planning to kind of backstab him anyway, and just waiting for opportunity.
Have they announced a sequel to this yet?
There's a sequel. All 5 issues are out, and there's some.
Are they really?
Yeah, there's some good moments in there too. Especially love that they like in that iteration. The first issue or so show the Ninja Turtles in human forms because essentially they're using an image inducer for X-Men fans, and because the Turtles, because of their origin in New York, they can definitely be coded as black, and their image induced versions are black teenagers, and I really dig that. I think that's a good way to bring additional.
So as soon as they put the image inducer on, did they get their ass kicked by the cops?
They
is their main villain Giuliani now?
No, because in Angel Grove the cops are Bulk and Skull, so they just outrun them.
Yeah, they might be bullies at first, but they are not racist. Okay.
Whoa! I'll beat up a child, but I will not be a racist.
Well,
I will not beat up a child because of their ethnicity.
Yeah,
right.
They were children when they were beating up other children. Okay,
they were just bigger children, almost adults. They were adults beating up children.
By the way, go back and watch Power Rangers. Bulk and Skull's journey is wild.
Didn't they? I mean, well, they were technically adults because they repeated classes, didn't they? Like repeated grades already.
Did they?
They were technically adults, weren't they?
I mean, the problem is the problem is that they are adults, and that's blurring some lines. So there is that.
But I thought they had a repeated grade, so that would have naturally just made them story wise adults.
But if they repeated grades, yeah, right. Like if they repeated grades, then really. The villain is Angel Grove public schools.
It's the school system, right?
Yeah.
The school system failed them.
That's why we need a voucher system. Thank you. Finally.
No.
Oh man, you walked right into that, Jay. You walked right into it. You walked in. Pat held your hand. He was like, "We're going this way." You're like, "Sure, why not?" Right to the slaughterhouse.
It's just I fall for it every time on this show. I fall for it every time.
Nobody expects a Spanish Inquisition, man.
Angel Grove failed them, but I mean they were also
miserably.
Youth.
They're all spending all the money on the juice bar for some reason. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my god, that okay. The OSHA codes for that juice bar is wild, right?
It's the same ones that they had from the Peach Pit.
Yeah, well, hey, Ernie's brother works at City Hall, so that's how we got a permit to have both a gymnasium on one side and then a food eatery on the other, all just within feet of each other. Like you can draw blood on the mats over here, and then
you can roundhouse kick a drink out of somebody's hand.
Exactly.
Bold of us all to assume this is not happening in real life, because I guarantee there is some city out there whose entire identity is around a juice bar that is illegally propped up by backhanded deals.
I mean, it's probably Arizona, right? Like it's Arizona or Florida.
Yeah, it's Arizona.
This feels like Arizona.
Oh, definitely Florida.
Yeah, this has an Arizona vibe because there's no gators.
a little more sophisticated. Less handguns.
Just a little
Plus,
drier.
everybody's inside drinking smoothies because it's 140 degrees outside.
And they have shirts on. They at least wear some shirts.
There it is.
Well, it's tank tops, but yes.
Yeah, it's a covering that isn't just a gun in their pants.
God.
Where'd I do the Asian fighting?
Wait, you said okay, so there's no alligators, but there was Crocodile, who was a villain in the. No, we don't care about Crocodile. Fine.
No.
What is Crocodile? Good. Explain
Crocodile was in love with the Crocodile was in love with the Yellow Ranger.
Wait, one of the monsters is in love with the Yellow Ranger.
This is during Dino Thunder. It's fine. I don't think it was in Angel Grove at this point.
Yeah. This was
Where's that?
Kira then. Kira was the Yellow Ranger at that point.
Which,
Does that
I
explain
mean-
why the monster's in love with her? I don't understand that justification.
I mean, just, you know.
if you saw Kira,
if
you
you saw
get it.
Kira and you were a teenager, then you'd get it. Are all these
And you
monsters
were a
teenagers then?
Oh God, I hope so. Otherwise,
Oh my
if-
God, are all
if-
these monsters
if-
teenagers?
if one of them whips out a card that explains the Romeo Juliet law or whatever it is, it's gonna be a really different show.
Well, no, because let's say, I can't remember how monsters get made in Dino Thunder, but let's go back to like, Finster's in the comic, and he says, "Oh, I only make the monsters," and they make them.
They're
through
newborns
clay,
at that
right?
point, right?
They're newborns, right?
Is that what they are?
Well,
Yeah,
they're just created, so they're newborns,
Yeah, they
like
exist
literally.
30 seconds, and then they're get big and attack.
So is it okay for the monsters to have crushes on the Power Rangers?
Honestly, the
No.
Power Rangers are in fault here if they reciprocate.
If
Age-wise,
they-
the power
if-
dynamics the other way.
If they lead them
Have they-
on to
Yeah.
lure them
Yeah.
into a trap and
Yeah.
defeat the monster, it's like, wow, really?
Pervert.
Does an even
This is
does
Chris
an even bigger
Hansen.
monster? Does an even bigger Chris Hansen monster show? Like, hey, what are we doing here?
Hey, so
What do you think was going to happen?
Why don't you take a
did we-
seat?
What kind of pizza we have tonight? Who's this? I'll get to that in a minute. Who are you? Who are you? You tell me first.
So
Why
Kira,
is
go
there
ahead
so
and have a
much
seat.
sweet tea in the Zord right now? It's
I was
weird.
going to say, so you were going to plan on having sweet tea and punching each other? Is that what the plan was? What does punching mean in this scenario? I'm just asking questions. They go outside and get arrested.
Yeah, right. You can leave now.
whenever you want.
Leave whatever you want.
Yeah.
Leave whatever you want.
We got a bushman out there waiting to tackle you.
They did dress as a bush. There was no reason. Didn't have
They had
to
the
do
budget.
that.
They had the budget, Pat.
It wasn't that good looking a bush.
They had the budget. It wasn't even in a bush area. It was like next to the basketball court. All paved. Here's a bush. It's 8 feet tall.
Just like the monsters. See? All comes back together.
There we
Oh,
go.
God.
Is it fucked up that they're born and immediately killed by these Power Rangers?
Like, what is
I'm
like?
just wondering.
Also, what is the moral like understanding?
Like they're just
of-
doing what they were born to do, and these
Yeah.
Power Rangers come and kill them.
Yeah, like where is the ethical ownership of like, hey, like these monsters might not actually be evil. You could just like talk to them and stuff. There and there are later seasons where this actually does happen.
They talk to them.
Yeah, and they turn like
I want to say,
shoot.
doesn't the most recent stuff, like they turn them back into little spores, and then they like some of them can come back, and there's like they're not
No.
killed, they're put in stasis.
Okay,
makes it
so
worse.
Wild, I think maybe
It
Power
makes
Rangers
it worse,
Wild
Pat?
Force had one. Power Rangers RPM definitely had one where there was a bad guy, and when they finally talked to her, they figure out a bunch of stuff, and then same as Power Rangers in Space, because
But it
that would
wasn't
have been
But it was like a Scorpina scenario where it was like a sexy bad guy.
yeah okay.
Like,
Don't get me s-
so
don't
the
get me
attractive
started.
ones we can
so
save.
they talk to her.
Yeah, they save the attractive ones. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, they do actually. Ken, you're not
Oh, you're
wrong.
a freak. Kill this freak.
You're not wrong.
I mean, Dr. O was definitely talking to that principal in Dino Thunder. Like, you know what? Hey, maybe he's trying to like turn the other leaf. Like, come on now, you know?
oh yeah, Tommy just becomes a paleontologist.
Because he knows so much about dinosaurs, like the dragon.
No, because
sword.
he needs more goddamn story. Like, fuck that dude. He doesn't need any more
Yes.
storylines.
This is worse because it shows they didn't, because like the entire they never tried to talk to the monsters except evidently unless they're attractive, which means they could have tried with all of them. They could have at least made an attempt. Instead, they're just pounding the shit out of them, bashing them into nothingness.
Phrasing.
So back to our OnlyFans.
Back to phrasing on that one.
I meant what I said.
Okay.
Pounding
Kid.
the shit out of them.
Can you demonstrate with the toys what Pat's saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you
Another $5, ladies and gentlemen.
So it's just like, oh well,
$5, please.
Hit that subscribe button real slowly.
So first you get Scorpina, and then you want to make sure.
Oh my god, you had a Scorpina.
And then
this is the quality content right here.
There you go. This
tangential after dark.
There you go.
I like I zoomed in on Pat as he's watching.
just shaking my head.
Hey, don't act like you're not a part of this. You get none of the proceeds.
Oh no, I'm 100%.
Cut your ass right out.
I didn't say it was out.
All right. Yeah, the camera's zooming back out like, oh, maybe Pat's not part of this. He doesn't want no part of this.
This camera has a mind of its own, I tell you.
Starts panning down like, whoa.
Oh, somebody hit like and subscribe. Sorry, guys. You know the rules.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our pod, I think.
Oh God.
Unless
ending on a high note.
Some more weird scenarios about why the Power Rangers are just fucked up monster killers.
Okay, just before we end, it is not their fault. They didn't know these monsters are being created by the real bad guys, and they are just tools of the bad guys.
Shouldn't Zordon have taught? I mean, he should explain that to him, right? Like that's part of the deal.
Getting worse now. We're back to them being bad, so it's really
child
by
soldiers.
omission. A lie by omission is still a lie.
All right, Black Falcon out.
I feel like he's part of this. Like he's got some kind of vendetta against monsters. He's a monster hater.
Or newborn baby monsters.
Oh, no, he especially hates those.
Yeah.
What if he's in on it because he wants big Power Ranger money and he knows the best way to get it is to have his team
just making money.
He and Rita,
making money from the merchandise.
Back to the comics.
Him and Rita in on this?
Well, back to the comics. There is there's a story that has like kind of a Professor X story where he's like, oh yeah, there were Rangers before you that we kind of erased too.
No.
There's an entire team of
yeah, that was with like Darwin and Vulcan.
Yeah.
Deadly Genesis?
Yeah, it's kind of a Deadly Genesis. There was
wait, did they actually die?
Some of them did. The Red Ranger survived because she shows up later on.
It's dark. Yeah, and it's dark because I think 2 or 3 of them die on their very first mission.
Oh no, Zordon.
Yeah, and then the Red Ranger is okay, and then there's like one other Ranger that's okay. I can't. Yeah, it's all
injured though, pretty much too.
Yeah,
I think at this point they're just sociopath, both him and Xavier. Yeah, there's no way that you like send people in to die and then do it again immediately afterwards.
Especially teenagers, like children. Like he chose underage, like there's questionable. Well, child soldiers are not who you send.
It's even implied that that time, that like Vietnam era Power Rangers, that's the time frame that it happens in. And so so it's like 60s, 70s. And so like 60s, I think 60s. And so he gets all adults for them, and I think it's like a reason why like he chooses teenage. I don't know, it was a weird story. It was a weird story. And,
you know who doesn't ask many questions? Teenagers.
Oh, God.
Their grandparents ask too many goddamn questions. I'm gonna fix that right away.
There you go.
Ah, jeez, Zordon. This reminds me of that sketch. What is it? College Humor, the racist Zordon.
Where
he doesn't want to talk about the Black Ranger.
College Humor or Funny or Die, one or the other. I think it's Funny or Die, because otherwise, if it was College Humor, it would have been a cast, like it would have been Zach Yamada. It would have been like the same actors we know and love. So these were fairly unrecognizable ones. So probably Funny.
Yeah, the skit itself was pretty funny though.
It is good. But here's the question: is it better, or which is better, that or Black Falcon?
I think I see what you're doing. I'm Native American.
Yes.
So Native American, red. Maybe the Black Ranger because I'm black?
No. I made you the Black Ranger because of your spirit animal.
What about me? I'm Jewish, so let me guess. I'm green because that's the color of money?
No! You're green because you have the power to summon the Great Dragon Zord.
Let me believe that. Well, what about Victor? What color are you going to make him?
Wow. Really? Oh, well, Victor's going to be the other Black Ranger.
The Key and Peele sketch. Like that.
That's a good. That's tough.
Like, because one of them has. Oh my God! Why can't I remember her name from The Sweet Life in Zack and Cody?
Oh, Ashley Tisdale? No, Brenda Song.
Brenda Song. Yeah, I was gonna say it has Brenda Wu.
No, Wendy Wu, Brenda Song.
Brenda Song. Right. Yes.
Yeah, Wendy Wu, Homecoming Queen, right? Or Homecoming.
Yes. Yes.
Oh God, now I have to look. No, it's Homecoming Warrior, I think. Dang it.
And that is
Wendy
Homecoming Warrior.
Yeah. Homecoming Warrior. Yes.
Played by Brenda Song.
Okay. Either way, Zordon's a fucked up masochist. Just like Xavier. I didn't dislike him until now, though. Knowing that he sacrificed.
So you realize that you're like, oh wait,
The moment you can tie him to Xavier is like, oh yeah, you're trash. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's not like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Trash dude.
Zordon's a jerk.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Right? This is a great way to end. This is a great way to end the show.
I think we're just going to end the same thing we started with.
Where can we find you and follow you and stalk you?
Once again, I'm Jason Patrick Gallett, also known as JPG in the pop culture space. You can find me on social media at SpeakerJPG. There'll be a link tree with all my work there. I'm a pop culture educator and consultant. Check out my website intermyth.org if you're ever looking into like any sort of like consulting services to get into content creation. And yeah, I think that's just about everything. That's everything that I can announce right now. Yeah, when does this episode come out, by the way?
Where can people find your scab
for another day?
Okay.
They can't find it because he's not crossing picket lines. They can't.
Okay, where can they find it on the black net?
On the dark web?
On the dark web?
I called it the
Fierce
black
Angel
net,
5 at
Okay, calm down. Calm down.
Still isn't Rogue Jedi?
No.
Yeah. Any hate mail goes to at Rogue Jedi TTV.
There you go.
When Cole is on your show, do you guys make the same jokes? Where you're like, oh,
I think I'm pretty sure when he was here for the Fast and Furious, I did send all the emails to Rogue Jedi TTV.
Oh, okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure you weren't saying at
it's between No. He shares between him and Dixon, our two hate mail destinations.
That's I get it.
And only because Dixon will never receive any of it. But he will respond if you knew how to get to it. He's checking his physical mailbox. Like, I don't see anything. They must all love me.
He's like logging into MySpace and still doesn't get like, where is all this hate mail? I don't know where it shows up.
Tom,
I gotta change my song.
Where's the hate mail?
Oh, and then last but not least, thank you again for having me on, by the way, guys.
No, thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
It's been a while. We missed the laughter and the analysis. Plus, I mean, you brought us some great topics. I mean, hopefully next time you come on, we'll be able to talk about heist stuff. But I mean, getting in, I didn't expect to talk as much about just Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers in general until we started reading these stories. I didn't even think I was going to be able to get to them. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just I'll coast in this. I'll let Ken talk about this one. And then something, I don't know, I guess I had some free time and I got into Ronin and I was like, all right, well, I got to read everything else. And it turned out to be great. So thank you for the suggestion.
Good night, everybody.
everybody.
Oh, okay. Good night.